Tulsa, Oklahoma is a city that basically exploded with the discovery of oil. And many of the skyscrapers in the downtown skyline, which you can see to my background here, were actually even named after some of the oil tycoons from that area. Like the Sinclair building that was named after Eddie Sinclair. Now obviously these big structures portray an image of wealth and prosperity, but there is another story that unfolds deep in their shadows. Over the course of the next few minutes, I'm going to take you into those shadows and reveal a truth that I hope will impact your life as much as it has mine. "11th Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma is at Route 66 for most of its way through the city. And as it was back in the glory days of Route 66, it still remains an artery that is bustling with activity, small businesses, eateries, and diners. My walking journey along 11th Street through Tulsa passed quickly, and before I knew it, I was through the metro area and continuing to make my way west. But as I discovered one fateful cold and rainy fall day, the metro area wasn't quite through with me. After finishing my morning miles on October the 17th of 1998, I quickly headed off to the corner cafe on 11th Street to get something to eat. And I remember that day well because the weather forecasters were calling for rain, and though it didn't rain on me that morning, it looked like it was going to start at any moment. And thankfully, I made it into the diner just in time. Like many of the diners along 11th Street in Tulsa, when you walk in, you feel like you've slipped on an old shoe. And the corner cafe is no exception. There isn't anything fancy or flashy, and there doesn't need to be. The atmosphere is comfortable, and the food is great. Needless to say, I found a place to sit quickly that day because by then I had only one thing on my mind, and that was a hot meal. And then, before my food even arrived, several things happened that set the stage for one of the greatest moments in all my time on Route 66. To this day, I remember hearing the sound of someone selecting a song on the jukebox in the corner of the cafe. And even more than that, I remember hearing the song that began to play. And that song was The Way It Is, written, produced, and sung by Bruce Hornsby. The Way It Is hit the Billboard charts in the 1980s, and I remember it well, especially the words from one particular phrase. And then as I was listening to that song, something else caught my attention. As the rain blasted against the window, I noticed a homeless person digging through the dumpster across the street. And suddenly, the words from Bruce Hornsby came to life. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. And as those words pierced the air, I was immediately reminded of some other words that I also remember well. Obviously, the words from the song by Bruce Hornsby brought these words to mind. And then just as suddenly as I thought of those words, some other words from Jesus also came to mind. And it was these words, combined with all of the other things, that spoke a message to me that day that I will never forget. At the time that all this took place, I was at a very strategic place in my own life and with my walking journey. Up to that point, I'd been walking Route 66 for about a year and a half. So as I approached the city of Tulsa, I knew that I was going to have to make a decision to either commit to walking all of Route 66 or to end the journey. And to be honest with you, I knew the decision that I was going to make. So with all of that on the line, it was no accident that the things that happened that day in Tulsa happened just exactly the way that they did. Because God knew that as I faced the future in that journey and also in my life personally, I needed to face that with a foundation of a truth that would take me through that. And that truth was this, that I needed to always be conscious of the fact that there's no better place to be in life than to realize that I am poor and needy and desperately in need of Him. And that is a truth that America needs to embrace as it moves into its future. Blessed are the poor in spirit. As Bruce Hornsby would put it, that's the way it is. And that is a great truth from Route 66 and from America's spiritual old past.